Nettie was born in Lithuania, Russia in 1885. She didn't know she'd become a role model in the fight for women's rights. It started early in her life when she refused to follow the dress code demanded by the cultural norm of all black dresses for women. Her father was a tailor for the military and would have leftover scraps of red cloth which Nettie used to adorn her plain black dress. She fought the establishment that prohibited girls from learning in the yeshiva. Girls were only allowed to study homemaking. She was curious to find out what was happening in the yeshiva and what were the boys learning. This led to trouble. Nettie didn't understand the trouble she would cause when she dressed in boys' clothing and went to the yeshiva. She was posing as a relative to one of her friend's brothers. When her crime was exposed, it led to severe consequences for both her, her family, and their status in the community. When her father died, Nettie was forced to find a husband to help support both her and her widowed mother. Women had little means of support at that time and had to rely on their husbands. She married at the age of 13 and again broke the rules. She lifted her veil at the wedding ceremony. She made the visitors gasp when she danced with men other than her husband. She was a free spirit and didn't see the reason for the separation between the sexes. She came to America in the 1890s and experienced much more freedom for women than she had in Russia. Women in America still didn't share equal rights with men. As a beautiful immigrant woman, she was almost sold into prostitution by the New York mob. It was only by coincidence in a series of fortunate circumstances that she escaped this fate of other women of the period. Education was always important to Nettie. She used her womanly charms to get accepted into the pharmacy school of New York University. She was one of only 2 women in her class. She did this with the help of a lecherous New York politician who she deceived by the promise of an affair. She avoided his advances by marrying another man. She again needed a man to fight the system. Her hard work paid off when she became the first woman pharmacist in St. Louis. She had her diploma prominently displayed on the wall in her pharmacy. In St. Louis, she reconnected with her future third husband. He was a medical student and also a lieutenant for Emma Goldman. Emma was crusading for a new social order and women's rights. She felt women should marry for love and not be forced into marriage. This is also the time she got her first divorce. This was extremely difficult for women at the time. Her husband, who was also a pharmacist, was addicted to cocaine, and with the help of witnesses, she was allowed a divorce. Owning property and entering into contracts without a husband's consent was forbidden in America in the early 1900s. After her third husband died, Nettie was left several pharmacies and property to manage. This was all before women had the right to vote and was very difficult and a very difficult legal maneuver. Getting a divorce in Illinois was also very difficult even after World War I. When her fourth husband returned home from the war with medical problems from mustard gas, he felt it best to give Nettie a new chance for a more normal life. Even with him on her side, they had to fake the reasons and pay people to testify to false statements to secure their divorce. In the end, it may have been unfortunate that Nettie was such a good business person. She attracted envy from all, especially men who couldn't understand a woman with money and freedom. Using all her skills, she had 5 husbands and 6 children and lived a life only few could achieve. This led to her heartless murder at the age of 37. She lived in America for only 25 years. Nettie was my grandmother. This is her story, the heartless murder of Nettie Sachs.